Welcome to this session. We are so glad to have you here. My name is Courtney Clark. I serve as the Program Director of Everywhere She Maps for the YouthMappers Network. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Everywhere She Maps in just a moment. But first, I want to kick off our session by introducing you to Ephraim Danford Jr., who is our fantastic guest speaker today. And this session is focused on how you can market GIS and geography within your organization or any large organization, as well as how you can apply your GIS skills and your geography skills to a career in international development. Ephraim Danford Jr. is a senior GIS monitoring and evaluation and data expert with over 10 years experience. He is responsible for developing the capacity of USAID teams on the use of spatial data, data analysis, and visualization to better support the goal of data-driven decision-making. Ephraim has long experience in national and international programs and holds a Master of Science in Geographical Information Systems from University of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. And he has a comprehensive background in geography and environmental studies. So welcome, Ephraim. We're so glad to have you here. And I'm going to provide a little bit of context for these series. By first providing an introduction to Everywhere She Maps. So Everywhere She Maps, you may be familiar, is a program within the YouthMappers network. It's about a year old at this point. And it's really designed to increase women's participation in and support women mappers within the YouthMappers network. Our aim is to strengthen the inclusiveness of the geospatial community. And we want to really focus on building technical capacity, not only of women student mappers, of all of our student mappers within YouthMappers, enhancing professional and networking skills, which is why we have these professional development sessions, and also making sure that women have the capacity to contribute to mapping projects and that we're mapping data that's really relevant to women's needs. We do this through 4 core activities. Of course, these professional and career development sessions that you're attending right now, as well as an internship matching program. We also have some fantastic regional ambassadors who are seasoned youth mappers, and they work directly with our chapters to help increase women's participation. We host mapping campaigns with our partners in the field and YouthMappers chapters as well, to add data to OpenStreetMap and conduct other geospatial analysis to address development issues that particularly impact women and girls. And then COVID permitting, hopefully next year, we'll be kicking off our Women in Technology Leadership Fellowship Program. We do have many sessions coming up in this series, so please join us for those as well. I will share a link to register and find those future sessions. We are talking much more in the next few months about internship and job search skills, career paths, trainings on leadership and technical skills. So please keep an eye out for those. And finally, if you could kindly complete the poll that I have active right now, I'm going to leave it open for about 10 more minutes. But please do fill out that poll and introduce yourselves in the chat. And with that, I will hand things over to our guest speaker, Ephraim Danford Jr.
Hello, thank you. Thank you, Courtney, for the introduction. And I really pleased to see the good work you are doing. I hope you can hear me, all of you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes.
Thank you. So I'll be sharing my screen. I'll be sharing my screen now just for I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
With the good color of yellow of YouthMappers. I like that banner up there. So I know we have very short time, and as Katni, you introduced me. My name is Ephraim Danford. I'm working with the USAID Data for Development program. We are a MAL platform contractors who we are supporting USAID Tanzania, and we are working on different areas, but I would like to share just my part today on the GIS technology in general. So as I was instructed, I will have these three areas to talk about and to share and to learn and relearn from you all. And I'll talk about my career path, when and where I started, where my passions of GIS or geospatial started. But the best practice of gaining buy-in for GIS activity at large organizations, or sometimes we call it like, how do you brand and market a GIS in your organizations or in a project? But also, I think this is part of sharing the advice and career guidance to youth and young professionals who are looking at GIS or GIT, geospatial information technology, as a really career to take a path. So without much wasting time, I put there is the top there, my career path, and there's line beyond that, and I say this is my story and mine alone. So it does not mean that whatever happened to me to navigate in the geospatial industry can happen to anyone. So this is mine alone is my story, but can give someone the insight of how industry goes, or how industry wants us to be. So in my career, as Katni mentioned, I have now, I would say, like more than 11 years of experience. And I've decided to categorize in three phases that I've gone through. And the first phase is my junior level, my entry level phase, where as soon I was in the third year class in the University of Dar es Salaam in 2010, that's how I started myself engaging with some volunteering activities. As you know that wherever we are in third years of fourth year of the university program, we are doing a field study, we are doing a field project. So that's where I started connecting myself with the career world. And in this phase one, is more of how I started to understand. I was in dark with the university skills and knowledge, but I never understood anything about the career. And as I mentioned, I came from the background of geography and environmental studies. So there was so many things within that. And choosing GIS, it started with how I saw things at the time. So you can see here in my slide in phase one, that is 2010 up to 2012, where I started. I put the yellow color. My first volunteering job. My first volunteering job was in local government authority in Dar es Salaam, Ilala Municipal Council, where I was engaged as a junior GIS and data officer. And at the time, actually, there was a specific project which involved the much data collection on the waste management department where I've been working. But I would say it did not start there. When I was in university in 2010, my third year, during my project study is where I was exposed to local government authority officers, and I was volunteering in different monitoring and evaluation of their projects. Some of the project was under TASAF, the big pool of government funding entrepreneurs and local communities to enable themselves in terms of economic and social empowerment. So I was involved since when I was in university during my field study. And I was ready to spare some time and to assist these officers in the preparation of report or doing some graphs, some data analysis or that early stage. So when I graduated is where now there was this opportunity. Just we need someone who can assist it. Can you do it? And I was like, yes, I can do it. So that's where the career started. And looking GIS into waste management, I saw it was not much into mapping. It was not much into mapping. It was doing something, produce something where I can inform people and people make decision out of it. So it was going beyond mapping. It was going beyond mapping. And because I'm coming from the background of geography and environmental, so environmental was my passions. Adding up the GIS components was more integrating the data, environmental related data with this technology. So in that year, I did volunteering like 6 months. Then I was given the temporal contract, a temporal contract. You can see that is lighter green. Things started to line up. To lighten up, I was given the temporal contract. But when I was given the temporal contract, that's where I was highly engaged in the activity within the local government authority. And to me now, the benefit that I get out of that temporal contract was networking, exposure, learning how the institution works, learning how the organization works, learning the culture, how these people perceive data, how these people perceive technology. So it was a best time for me to network, to meet with different people from different departments, from different organizations through a department that I was working, and getting different exposures, seeing how people they're interested with maps, how people with they're interested with visualizations in other departments like health, like statistics, and so forth. But mind you that because this was the earliest stage of my first phase, I have put the bubble here, the circle with many, and I put many trying on progress. So there was no focus as a GIS personnel, or I want to do this. At that time, we are still young. I was ambitious. I need to look for other pastures, green pastures and other stuff. So there was so many trying, looking for other job. And so I stick to that while trying to look for other things. It goes that way, things up to 2013 to 2016. That's the second phase, I will call it, on my career path. That's where now I started to focus and reduce the number of trying. Like I want this, I want this. Now I started to focus on effective use of GIS because I had a network. I was exposed and seeing how the GIS can do, what GIS can be useful. So I started to focus now how I can effectively use GIS on wherever I do, wherever I come across the data. I started a little bit doing some consulting works, like weekly, 1 week, 2 days. There's minor data analysis, job visualizations, consulting works. So it was more phase of understanding the programs and the projects and how I can effectively utilize the GIS. But also through the experience that I had on the first phase, because when I was starting the career, I met with different people from different organizations. To mention a few, for example, I met with the team, good people from Border is one of the German organizations that is working in the issue related to waste management. So I started to see how the international organization, which are working within the country and outside the country they perceive and they see GIS in different perspectives, because they were so interested with what I was doing in my volunteering job. So in the second phase was more of understanding how the program and project works with the GIS technology, but also trying to connect and listing the international organizations which are working within the country and see how they do their data management, how they integrate the GIS and so forth. And I would say this was really part of growing. It was really part of growing because in 2015 is where I joined the University of Dar es Salaam for Masters of GIS and remote sensing. So understanding the global, understanding the international organizations, how they integrate data, and seeing the need of GIS in the industry. With the focus that I have, I thought maybe I could add some skills, some knowledge for me to have more open doors and opportunity. So that was my second phase. So in second phase, again, I've worked as a consultant with so many local companies and different projects. To mention a few, I've worked with the Dar es Salaam water sewage sanitation system as a data and GIS advisor consultant. But also I've worked with the Prime Minister Office. There was a huge project called the Tanzania Strategic Cities Planning Project. I worked as a GIS specialist, as a consultant. So it was more of focusing on how I can integrate myself with different projects on utilizing GIS. Just to go quick, my first phase now, it started from 2017 up to where I am now, moving forward. It is more of engagement with the national and international.
Oh, Ephraim, I think, at least on my end, the audio for you cut out. We can't hear you right now. Ephraim, are you able to hear me? All right, it looks like Ephraim may have had to leave the Zoom, and I'm sure he'll come back to fix the audio issues. In the meantime, thank you everyone so much for your patience. We really appreciate it. Yeah, just maybe sit tight for a minute. If you haven't introduced yourself in the chat, go ahead and do so. Read what others have to say in the chat. See who your peers are in this session. And yeah, thank you so much for your patience. While we're waiting, Janet, would you be interested in just talking a little bit about Crowd to Map Tanzania's event on Sunday?
Absolutely, thank you. So I do hope that you will have a look at the program. I don't know, shall I share my screen for a moment? You're muted, Courtney.
Sorry, yes, I just made you co-host.
Okay, thank you. So can you see my screen? Great. So Crowd to Map is a volunteer run project that's been mapping rural Tanzania for 6 years now. And We have around 16,000 online volunteers. We've set up youth mapper groups in many different universities in Tanzania, and quite a lot of them will be here on Sunday. One of our focuses has been to help protect girls from female genital mutilation, FGM, which is an issue in certain parts of Tanzania, but it's also about mapping for community development more widely. So we have a great range of speakers on Sunday. We have a Tanzanian member of parliament who's doing some work around mapping and nutrition. Monica from the East Africa Hub director from HOT will talk about that. Laura, a youth mapper ambassador, who I'm sure many of you know very well, will talk about her work. And also about how mapping can help measure progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals. And then Raya, another youth mapper ambassador, who I'm sure you know from Zanzibar, will talk about the school mapping project in collaboration with Ben, who's the CEO of Liquid Tech. They have a broadband internet links across Africa. And then Msidi Kali from Resilience Academy, who's done a lot of work with different youth mapper groups in Finland and Tanzania. We'll talk about what they're doing. And then there's a very interesting project around address systems in Tanzania that Frederick will talk about, because next year there is a census in Tanzania, and the government has also put out a call for people to do physical addresses for every building in Tanzania, which is a huge opportunity for the OpenStreetMap community. And it would be interesting to find out what other African countries are doing around that. And then finally, Johannes from Open Map for Development Tanzania will talk about the project that they're doing with the World Food Programme about mapping the location of maize mills, again, to improve nutrition. So there's some really cool work going on in Tanzania, and I hope people will be able to come along and ask questions and find out and so on. I'm just sharing this link, which is on the Eventbrite. So this is about where the links, the broadband links are in Africa. And what they've done in this project is they've looked at school locations and which are the dots here, and then they've worked out which are the schools that would be easiest to connect to this fiber link based on location. So they've done quite a lot of work in Kenya already, but they'll be here on Sunday. So please come along and find out more. And I think Ephraim is back now. So yeah. Thanks.
Perfect timing. Thank you so much, Janet. Welcome back, Ephraim.
Thank you. And sorry, something happened in our server, and I don't know what happened. I was like out of the Zoom. So sorry, guys. And let me share my screen again. And can you remind me where I was? Oh.
Yes, you were talking about phase 3 of your career path.
Okay. Can you allow me to share this?
Oh, screen? Yes. Here we go.
Okay, thank you. Here we go. Okay, so you can see my screen now. I hope you see my screen.
Sorry, yes, we can.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So I was in the phase 3 of my career, and as I mentioned, in this phase now, it's more of engagement with national and international organizations in different level, but also more focus on the providing solution looking for solution which will be implemented or use GIS technology and advocates and advise. And with this period of phase 3 is where I've worked with some international organizations as consultants. To mention a few, I've worked with UNHCR Tanzania as GIS and M&E training consultant, but also worked and support MSF, Doctors Without Borders, in a humanitarian. So I spent a lot of time, like 2017, 2018, working in humanitarian organizations, supporting different missions as a consultant. And in 2018,
Ephraim, your audio cut out again. Ephraim, are you able to hear me? All right. So sorry about this, everyone. I'm sure we all can understand that no matter where we are in the world, we have connection issues from time to time. So really, really appreciate your your patience, and hopefully he'll be able to come back again. If not, we can also potentially ask Ephraim to just record the talk that he was wanting to give, and we can share that with you all. So just really, really appreciate your flexibility. I guess while we're waiting, I can also share some information that I was going to share at the end of the session, so we can just kind of take care of that right now. So, as I mentioned, we at YouthMappers are hosting a lot of professional development sessions from essentially October through January of this year, although we might end up going much longer on those. And you can always find the events that we're hosting through our Eventbrite page. I'm going to put the link in the chat in just a minute. Especially if you follow us on Eventbrite, you'll receive an email notification anytime we post a new event, so you'll always be up to date and know the latest. But we also advertise all of these events on our social media platforms. So if you're following us on Twitter and Facebook especially, then you should be also getting updates about when we're hosting these sessions. So a few upcoming that I'm really excited about. Next week, it may be sold out. There have been a few cancellations, but you may still be able to have a spot for interactive mapping and geospatial analysis. If not, of course, we will be recording the session and we can share that as well. This is going to feature a professor from the University of Tennessee, and he'll be talking about how to use Jupyter and Python within geospatial to make some pretty cool maps and analyses. We have a session upcoming later in November from someone who's going to be able to talk about, how to approach coding for non-coders. So if coding is not your skill set or your forte, how can you still start to approach that, since we know that coding is such an important skill for really anyone working in GIS and geography these days, and it will only continue to become more important. We're hosting a QGIS workshop on November 16th. This will be a 2-hour workshop to help you really understand QGIS and both some basic and some more advanced skills for making maps and using OpenStreetMap data in that free tool. We also have a session in January. We will have Dr. Joseph Kursky from Esri talking about his take on really 5 key forces and 5 trends and 5 skills for careers in geotech. He's been in the industry for a long time, so he's going to share his insights as well. And then we have even more that we'll be scheduling soon. And it looks like Ephraim is back. Hi, Ephraim.
Yes, Courtney. I don't know what's happening with technology today. It's not in my favor, but
That's okay.
I've shared the PowerPoint with you through your email for reference.
Okay.
Let us try the last time and see how it will work.
Okay, that sounds great.
I hope you all see my screen now.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, thanks. I'll just go a little bit quick. So as I was saying, in phase 3, it was more of GIS use and adding some value in different sectors. I've engaged myself with different national and international organizations. I've worked much in a humanitarian project as a consultant. And with that, now it led me to where I am now. So through all these 3 phases, there was a lot of try and error. There was a lot of learning and learning, you know. So that's a simple way I can put my career experience with GIS. But I'm glad since the beginning of this career path and journey, it was more of GIS, but mainly adding some skills, adding some value to link up with how GIS work. So if there's any question on this, please spare, because I don't know when my internet will betray me again. And let me go direct to our theme on how we can pitch, we can market, we can brand a GIS in our organization. So I know there is mix up of different audience here. There is senior, there is junior, somewhere. So I would like to start with saying that there is different levels on how we understand, on how we can market GIS. And GIS as a professional, as a science, as a discipline, it have different angles on where people can use it or utilize it. So I put down some few ideas, some few understanding the experience to share with you all guys. So one of the problems that I discovered, or many other articles mentioned, that one of the problem of how GIS is seen in organization is only GIS professionals are seen as the people who focus on using GIS to make a maps. So it turns as a map maker or cartographers. So that's one of the challenge. So speaking to the youth who are looking forward, engaging themselves in the GIS arena, in the GIS career, we need to change that mind. We need to come up with something new to change that mind, the way organizations or the way projects or people see what GIS professional can do. So I put the example here, like projects sometimes have specialists who may make maps, but often there seems to be an underutilizations or even misunderstanding of what GIS specialists or GIS technology would do within organizations or a project. Like one example I'll give you, someone may come and say, can you do, oh, so you are doing a map. I can call you for when I need a map. So it depends, it remains when I need a map. but it does not take you as someone who you are directly linked to any activity or any goal or anything that's happening in the organization or project at the moment. So someone look at you as a map maker or cartographer, but there is this one word, we call it underutilization. You are underutilized, we underutilize the technology itself. So the best practice for gaining buy-in for GIS activity or branding and marketing at large organization, it mainly depends on the level you are or the role you play in that organization or project. So there is entry level, there is a senior level, there is a management level. All these levels need you to pitch, to brand, to market a GIS professional on a specific understanding of the people who are surrounding you, on the specific understanding on the people you work together on the project or organization. So saying that, in entry level, we believe that you had skills, which is important. When applying for entry level position, focus on those skills that you have. The skills that you have will end up producing the product that impress people, the product that people need because of your skills. You know software, you know data mining, you know a lot about geospatial. So in entry level, focus on the skills. Connect yourself, your skills with what is happening within the organizations. I'll talk about it on the next slide and what to be done. So in a senior level, for senior level or specialist positions, pitch your projects, what you can do with GIS technology. Show the organization the deep understanding of the technology, the technical part on how the geospatial technology, how mapping, how GIS itself, it can take the organization from one level to another. In management level, in management position, it requires a proven communication skills and focus on strategic goals. So, for instance, in few months past, I've been developing the COVID dashboard. The COVID dashboard for Tanzania with neighboring countries. We had an issue of accessing internal data. So we sat down with other health people, other epidemiology people. We designed the indicators which will assist us to predict and to monitor the situation within the country related to COVID. So this requires the communication skills because you are using GIS technology to inform people, to bring your message, to tell the story. So in management level, you need to have the high communication skills so that you can convert the technical part of the GIS, the technical part of geospatial technology into informing decision to people who are waiting to see what GIS can do. So that's what I can share to people who are trying to pitch, who are trying to brand, who are trying to change, to navigate the mind of people who are seen or view GIS as only used for map making, rather than can do a lot, can offer a lot in the organization. Continuing with this story of how we should market ourselves, we say that a GIS role is not seen, is still not seen as part of the strategic goals or core skills that organization need to achieve their mission, which is not true. Which is not true. With reference to what I've been doing last year, we did a lot of analysis during the development of country, we call it CDCS, CDCS, Country Development Cooperative Strategy with USAID Tanzania Mission. So there was a lot of analysis, not for the sake of mapping, but for the sake of making decision, like where do we need to focus in these 5 years? Why are we not focusing in these regions in Tanzania and we are focusing on these regions?
So the GIS was the core part of the strategic goals. The GIS was the core part of the planning and designing of 5 years country development cooperative strategy. So you can see how GIS, you can pitch GIS in different angles and it can be seen useful. Additional to that, pitching yourself as someone who brings business value to the key operation goals, such as information and knowledge to improve business or to improve the project performance that happen to involve spatial properties. For instance, you're working with a company which is dealing with supplying. You need to have some skills of geomarketing, how you can integrate geospatial property with marketing strategy, where there is so many demand, where people where there is population density, so that you can spread the advert there. So when we are pitching, we as a GIS professionals, we need to go beyond maps, seeing how GIS can add value. Many of GIS professionals have advanced skills, analysis skills that bring value and the insight gained about how business or how project could improve operations and long-term goals that should be emphasized more. So you need to show the value of GIS in planning. That's starting from that level, planning. There is project, there is activities planned. Where do you chip GIS? If it's location-based, you can have the map and say, we need to go in these few areas because there is a short distance, because there is safety maybe in terms of pandemic. So you chip your ideas from the planning. During the monitoring, I have long experience of doing performance management, where we have been using GIS to integrate and visualize performance, while location A is performing better than location B. This person is monitoring this A and B. Why he is not performing better in location A and location B? So those are the things we as a GIS professionals, we need to see how we are needed in the industry. But also highlighting how spatial information is helping in decision-making. Example, during the time of pandemic, we have a pandemic now. We witnessed the high use of GIS technology, geospatial, than ever before, I might say. And I think you may agree with me. We have several dashboards which capture the location and the different attribute, different information. All those support easily people to make a decision. Where do we need to do vaccine? Where do we need to send PPE? The location A have received PPE, the location B did not receive. So you can see how GIS have been fully utilized. But lastly, we would like to share in this part is to improve our communication skills. Sometimes we call ourselves like, spatial engineers. What we know is about data analysis, about doing visualization, but we need to have some communication skills from understanding the product we are producing. What does it tell? What the story do we get out of those maps, out of those visualizations? But in branding and marketing of GIS in our organization or projects, we don't need to stick with GIS knowledge only or GIS skills. The world is changing. The technology is evolving. We need to have some additional developing skills. I, as a GIS specialist, the guy who doing maps, I'm in the project. I need to understand some ABC of monitoring and evaluation so that I can be able to integrate these two things. If you are in the community development project, you need to understand the culture, the basic of the community development project so that you can be able to integrate with GIS. But that go further to even how do we analyze data? You can go further for other additional skills. You are GIS personnel, but you need to go for coding skills. You can learn Python, you can learn ARA, you can learn other tools which add value to GIS so that you can not lie behind forever. So short course to speed up with understanding of the other field, how they utilize data, will add value in a particular project organization you are working. But it will increase the opportunity for you to be visible in different perspectives, rather than as a GIS, as a map maker. I know we had a challenge with the connections. I wish this could go smoothly, but these are the few things we as a GIS professional, we need to preach out, we need to see in organization, we need to teach in organization, wherever we come across. To my young brother and sisters, as we have a challenge of not being understood in the industry, and because the technology is evolving, the technology is changing, I would say we need to document every single step, every single success related to GIS. This is assisting us when we are doing something like advocacy. You won't be able to tell someone that is successful on this, not even showing the single article that you published, the single humanitarian activity you participate in. So to me, to bring this story of how GIS is useful, how GIS is potential, I document every single story I come across as a success in my career path. As you can see, I've just collected some few articles where my name appeared. When I was working with the USAID, when I was working with Doctors Without Border, we were coordinating like all African mission, and we were having our own magazine, a newsletter, where you put what you did in your mission. How did you support the refugee camps? So those are the records to me, and showing people that even though you don't see the potential of GIS, but there is potential in GIS, not only as a professional, but as a career-wise. You can see I have some different part that they tweeted, like Global Development Lab and the USAID. They tweeted my success as one of the rising stars. So these are the things that we need to share. These are the stories we need to share. There is some reports, like here I put the Tanzania Water Sector Assessment for Strategy Development report. This is a public report. There's some maps, there's some analysis that have been done by me, and they're in the report. That's success. Today, I've been invited with the YouthMapper. It's success to me, and I put it in my record, and I will share. So we need to not to forget the small things we do, the recognition we get, and that is part of our career story. So after saying that, I know I've been quick. Thank you, all of you, for listening. And back to you, Courtney. I'll wait for your guidance, but I'll be happy to receive any question and sharing more experience from the audience. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ephraim. I think we can all agree that was a fantastic presentation, and your career is really inspiring for all the youth on this call today of, some of the things that they might also be able to achieve in their own careers. So with that, happy to open up the last 10 minutes or so to question and answer. Please feel free to put your questions for Ephraim in the chat, or to come off mute and ask them directly as well. While you're thinking of your questions, I'm going to put a link to an evaluation form of the session in the chat. It takes, about 2 to 3 minutes to complete. If you could complete it, that would be so great and so helpful for us. Also, as a little incentive, if you've attended some of these sessions over the past month, or you're going to attend the future sessions that I showed you earlier, and you complete evaluations and attend at least 3 sessions, you give us your email address when you complete those evaluations, I will offer to you a personalized resume or CV review with feedback from myself. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to share that link to the evaluation, and please ask away your questions. Okay, so we have a question from Enoch. Ephraim, I don't know about your background enough to know if you've mapped floods before, but we do have a question about any advice that you would have for using GIS to map floods. And you are on mute if you're trying to talk.
So sorry, Katini, was it for me?
Yeah, there's a question if you have any experience or knowledge of using GIS to map floods or issues related to floods.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Yeah, as I was assisting one of part of what I'm doing just voluntarily is mentoring some other youth, other students. So I've been engaged with one of the master's student dissertations and doing some flood analysis in Dar es Salaam, and really we collect a lot of information. So I would say to that level, I'm familiar with that.
Okay, great. And yeah, in my follow-up email, I know there's been lots of mapping done around flooding, so Enoch, we can share some of those links for more information about mapping related to floods. We also have a question, and it's from the chat. It says, do you have any material on coding? I am using GIS a lot for research activities, but I do not have knowledge in coding. I've been trying to learn it, but don't really understand it. So what advice would you give to a student who's starting out in their career and wants to learn more about coding? Where should they get started?
Yeah, first of all, I saw as a researcher on my side, I'm doing Python. A little bit conversant with Python because it directly linked with GIS platform, and for sure I have some materials, and maybe I can link with you to some forum that they are discussing some question and answers. But additional to that, you may decide to use more of open source, open source that we have at GitHub, or we have several other coding language that there is in open source.
Okay, perfect.
So to answer to answer your questions, I have coding knowledge and I'm doing Python, a little bit with R.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So Python and R, that's also what I've seen as some of the top skills that employers are looking for GIS analysts, even at the entry level. Those are really important skills to have. So in our follow-up email, we will send some links. And then if you'll remember, we do have a session coming up about kind of how to approach or how to get started in coding if you don't know anything about it. So definitely join that session if you're able to. Good question.
Katini, sorry, when I was browsing here, I saw the message, the question from Janet. By the way, I'm so happy to see you, Janet. You are here. I know you are. For those who don't know, Janet is among of the champions of the YouthMapper, and I've been following her closely in Tanzania. So with congratulations with the good job you are doing. You asked me about the COVID dashboard. So the COVID dashboard that I developed is comprehensive one, and it has a lot of health-related data, so it's not yet for public. And as you know, we developed the dashboard during the time where we are not having the COVID data in Tanzania. So it was specific for informing decision makers with the CDC and the USAID mission staff. Maybe things are changing. We will see if we'll.
Great. Are you able to share, Ephraim, any links to other work that you've done potentially? that we could look at? Oh, you're on mute.
Okay, I have some few links I'll share, but
Perfect.
I think I used to post a lot of stuff in the LinkedIn. So for those who will let us connect in LinkedIn also, I always share a lot of materials and information in LinkedIn. Let me share some link here in chat for some work that have been involved.
Perfect. Oh, and we have a comment as well from Fabian, who mentioned that there is also pressure to be able to communicate with legacy systems. SQL is also important, and PostgreSQL is being asked of Fabian in interviews. That's really helpful to know as well. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it can definitely be difficult to keep up with all the different languages that employers might want you to know. Oh, wonderful. And Fabian
Yeah,
also
Katri,
shared
I
a link.
think that's I think that's that's what I was saying to some point, that we need to add some skills. Yeah, you do GIS, but there's some additional skills you need to have it, so that at least you can cope up. Because some organizations, as I've recently, they are not moving much on the licensed the softwares, so that to increase the access, you know, like when we are training, we are advocating people to use GIS. We usually use open, so that everyone can be able, you know, to utilize the technology, rather than going for licensed. Some of them that they cannot afford it. So the language like Postgres, SQL, those are the open source, and they do better in industry. So I agree with Fabian that there is a little bit pressure on that. You are employed as a GIS analyst or GIS specialist. Among of the qualification, you need to know SQL, you need to know Postgres, stuff like that.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, I know we are at time for the session. So I just want to thank everyone so much for joining and for your patience with some of the technical issues. We'll be sending out all of the links and things that we mentioned throughout the session today to you in a follow-up email. So please keep an eye out for that. And don't forget to complete that evaluation form. It's really helpful to us. And we hope to see you at a future session and at the birthday party for Crowd Map Tanzania coming up this weekend as well. So thank you so much to Ephraim and all our participants, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.